bisexual men's writing that is punctuated with bi men's visual art, there is a very diverse representation of bisexual masculinities across ethnicities, generations, and nationalities. And you saw that art up here as you were coming in, or waiting for the program to start, as the case may be. So I'd like to welcome Herukhuti to the stage.
Recognize. Verb. Identify someone or something from having encountered them before. Know again. Acknowledge the existence, validity, or legality of. Synonyms. Acknowledge, accept, admit. It can be difficult to recognize all of yourself, particularly if you haven't yet encountered all of your parts, facets, and nuances. For me, the difficulty was not because I hadn't encountered all of me, but rather I didn't see anyone in the world like me. When it came to love and desire, I didn't recognize myself in others. Before I entered the 2nd grade, I had a boyfriend and a girlfriend and had experimented sexually with both. I had no name for what these experiences meant for me. I could only recognize how they made me feel. Good. But that's where my recognition would remain for some time. It can be harder still to get the world around you to recognize all of you when there are parts of you it has yet to encounter. But once you have put together a substantial body of who you are and demanded that the world acknowledge and accept your existence and validity, they had better recognize. Or there will be consequences. The sites in which those consequences manifest include boardrooms and bedrooms, street corners and salad bars, conferences and cabins. For a bisexual man, those consequences can be experienced as microaggressions and assaults on his humanity that daily slice away at the spirit. They crisscross along the contours and perturbations of the body, in some cases creating reservoirs of mistrust, guilt, resentment, and rage. And in other cases, the promise of redemption and transformation. I was nearly 20 years old when my spiritual teacher, a father figure at the time to me for a decade, attempted to marry me off to another student, a woman, to ensure his, quote, son won't become one of those homosexuals, end quote. The engagement didn't last long, but my capacity to love and desire people across a variety of genders did. Recognition is an unfolding and continuous process that requires us to remember the parts of ourselves that we have lost, forgotten, or had silenced. Being a bisexual man in a world dominated by straight or gay thinking, I continue to resist the pressure to conform to one or the other, while I continue to question my own sensibilities. Are my sensibilities bisexual enough? Am I a straight or gay man in bisexual drag? Oftentimes, like when I first agreed to co-edit this anthology, I will have an experience that reminds me of the capacities for love and desire that I have carried since I was a child. Those moments bring the recognition and with it the dynamic tension I have with a world that does not truly recognize the complexities of being bisexual and male. To recognize ourselves as bisexual men, therefore, is a queer reclamation, in that it frequently means that we are reclaiming lost or forgotten parts of our stories, our desires, and ourselves. But how can you lose or forget yourself? In a world that leaves little room for you to exist, it can be very easy, albeit painful, to get lost or forgotten, even within your own gaze, and in collaboration with forces that have pushed your sense of self aside and rendered you fabrication, foil, or folly. Loving and living every day in the in-between spaces of the sexual landscape, the walls that have been built and policed to maintain the just order of sexual conformity, can crowd out the space needed to love and desire as one is moved to do. I invite bisexual men to consider the name of this anthology, Recognize, as a call to recognize ourselves as well as a demand that others recognize us. Hopefully, you, my brothers, will recognize yourself in your brothers here, even if their voices don't exactly match yours. Let the voices contained within this book call us to recognize who we've been, who we are, who we're working to become, who we will become. Let the voices call us to be vigilant in recognizing each other. So let the next voice you hear be your own. Recognize.
Okay, so that was the finale of our multi-arts program. And so before we start handing out awards, I want to say a few things. First of all, as everyone knows, I have a book in the awards that I run. And it's possible that some people think this thing is rigged, but to take precautions to distance myself from any categories that our book was in, Bill, who has been with the awards since the beginning and is a passionate bi-book reader, supervised those categories for me so that I only found out the finalists and the winners after the voting was over.